So you're accepting the Rogue Award tonight. Very
Yes.
appropriately titled, I think.
Yeah, well, just don't tell anybody that's actually like after a river valley, and just like we'll
Cheese.
embrace, yeah, and cheese. We'll embrace the you know the challenging side.
So you're on the festival circuit. I mean, this is pretty grueling.
It's pretty well. It's like festival circuit combined with like the press circuit. So like they're one and the same right now. Where I'm going to as many festivals as I can.
You
as
started
well as,
at Sundance in January.
I started Sundance in January, and then we were finishing the film, delivering the film throughout February into March, and then we went to Miami, and then South by, Dallas. Where else have I? What are the festivals? Now we're here in Ashland. I'm going to Minneapolis. It played in Kansas City this weekend as well, and I couldn't be there. But combined with that, you know, right now is all the press tour. So now I went to CinemaCon, where it also showed at the the convention of exhibitors in Las Vegas, and then I went from CinemaCon in Vegas to San Diego to Dallas, to Los Angeles to Boston, Boston to Chicago to San Francisco to Ashland.
You're making me very, very tired.
Yeah.
But one of the things that strikes me about this is that not only did you cleverly raise money to make the movie,
Yeah.
but the
I cleverly
deals
got free lodging
that you made, besides that, the shoes, were you going to show me
I'm
some
not
barrels?
rocking the Merrills
No. You're marketing the movie too. I mean, that's starting to hit.
That's
so
right.
explain to me, there in the movie that you show, as you're raising the advertising, which is part of the movie, which is the funding and everything.
Right.
You have these papers with all these myriad deal points, and they include the actual marketing of the movie. So explain
That's
that
exactly
part
right.
of it to
Well,
me.
part of when you do kind of product placement and marketing for a film, you want to tie in co-promotion. And so while there'll be hard money, where there's people that actually gave us real money as part of their promotion and co-promotion, there's people who gave us no money, who are just giving us lots of advertising when the movie comes out. You know, companies like Carrera sunglasses, Seventh Generation, you know, Carmex, Trident. We have 23 partners,
Wow.
but then our bigger partners are doing a lot more. Like JetBlue, you know, if you're on a JetBlue airplane, like when the plane takes off right now, I'm on the screen, you know, talking about the greatest airline you'll
Which
ever
is
fly.
promoting you again as the
yeah.
brand of Morgan Spurlock.
Yeah,
which
and the
I
movie.
Find, which
Yeah.
I find. All right, what are some of the other ways that
Well,
you're
and then,
like? Are there cups?
and then you walk into a Hyatt. You walk into a Hyatt and turn on the TV in a Hyatt now, and I come walking in my robe and with a towel wrapped around my head, and I go, "Well, hello, welcome to Hyatt, the greatest hotel you'll ever experience." And
Well,
then,
you entered the world of being a pitch man. I mean, you had
That's
to go
right.
into Palm and give them, and it shows in the movie. You actually reject several. The one where you showed the erectile dysfunction,
That's right.
you knew that wasn't going to go.
but we
over.
ended up shooting it anyway, so we'll be on the DVD. Yeah, that will still be on the DVD. Originally, I wanted to put that spot after the credits, after the movie was done and the credit rolled. Like as credits went on, it was going to be like an Easter egg at the end of the movie. And we decided not to put it on for the Sundance cut. And then I said, well, let's put it on the theatrical. But at that point, we'd already submitted the film to the MPAA. And so when we got our rating back as a PG-13, when you resubmit to the MPAA, you have to tell them what's different about the film. So literally, we would have drawn a map right to. Oh, and by the way, there's a commercial of me with a giant erection that you should look at.
Yes, but the woman. What's the name of the woman who's the head of Palm?
Linda Resnick.
Tell me a little bit about her. She's like a billionaire.
She's a fascinating, you know, multi-billionaire. She and her husband, you know, have a very large
Empire.
business empire. Yeah, you know, from Teleflora to Fiji water to wonderful pomegranate juice to other things. Like if you buy a pistachio, like 40% of the pistachios in the world are theirs.
So you made a deal with them that you were offering the sponsor that would present the movie for $1 million. Now,
Yeah.
why did this woman go for it?
I think that they were still, and they still are, in the process of really establishing Palm as a brand. I think that Palm is known in certain circles, but I think a lot of people don't know about it.
100% pomegranate juice.
That's right. So it is a bottle of 100% pomegranate juice that most people I don't think know, you know, are aware of it. You know, especially outside of probably metropolitan areas. They're like, how do we break out? Well, for a little tiny bit of money, you know, when you look at a giant year-long marketing campaign, we can put ourselves in a film that ultimately will live on forever. You know, that's the beauty of the movie, is that in perpetuity you will be the above the title sponsor. So I think for them it was a coup. And here's the thing. Here's the best story about Linda. So the movie premieres at Sundance. Plays through the roof. Plays so great. And she didn't come, of course, because she's very smart, very savvy, and didn't want to show up just in case I threw her under the bus. I know that she goes, no, that wasn't it. I was busy. And I'm like, believe me, I know why you didn't come. So then, but the film played great. And I call her up the next week, and just to touch base with her, say everybody was happy, the film was fantastic, really well received, and she goes, "Oh, Morgan, don't you wish you had ESP?" And I said, "Why? What do you mean?" She goes, "If you had had ESP, you'd have known how well the film was going to play, and you'd have known to ask me for more money."
No, I really like her in this movie. She comes off really well.
She is incredibly charismatic.
But
yeah.
you, how did you, manage to convince them to do this?
It was hard, because it was them after we called so many other people. Like, we called 600 companies, 600 brands to come onto this movie. No advertising agency would help us, with the exception of one. Kirschenbaum and Bond in New York was the only ad agency that would help us.
And he was like a friend of yours
I
already.
had known Richard for 10 years.
And so he was. What struck me is that some of the people who went along with you were actually fairly smart.
Yes.
Like the people from the gas station. What's the name of?
From Sheetz.
Yes.
The people from
Those
Sheetz.
guys were hilarious.
Incredibly savvy.
They got you.
They got it from the beginning, and they're good old boys like me. They're just like regular Joes who grew up in the country who literally have this gigantic corporation, at their fingertips, and they have 400 stores, and so they're like, well, how do we get the name of Sheetz out more? Because they're continuing to expand.
I never heard of them.
Yeah, a lot of people haven't. Unless you grew up in the region, you don't know who they are. And now here we have a movie coming out, and this gas station, this like regional 7-Eleven is going to have collector
all
cups.
These things there.
Yeah, it's going to.
All right. So then you created this sort of puzzle that you had to So on the one hand, you're going to the moral dilemma of keeping your integrity, etc., which
right.
you took care of by telling none of these people, every single person, you would not show them the movie. You would not give them any approval. That was the deal.
That's right.
So there really wasn't so much of a moral dilemma.
Well, it was a moral dilemma up till the point that the contracts were done. Because ultimately, it's like each contract, every time one came in, the average time to turn around a deal with each of these companies was probably 3 to 3.5 months. It was a long time until from the time they're like, great, we're in, until finally we got a check. It was a long time. It was probably almost a year from the time when we got the idea, started pitching companies coming on board before we got the very first check. Long time.
And you were, of course, worried for a while that it wasn't going to happen.
Well, ultimately, because all you're doing is burning money and time.
Right.
You're focusing all your effort on this, and the only thing that kept us going was that every time a CMO from some corporation would say no, the people who worked underneath him, who we talked to first before we got kind of the introduction, they would all say on the phone, they're like, "I'll do anything I can to help you that won't get me fired." So the fact that literally every underling in the industry wanted this movie made was the thing that was like, we have to make this movie.